So the focus is to improve our focus and concentration. So you've been really, really knowledgeable, and we sort of studied those segments in the game. And some of the feedback you've given there is well, all of it's been great, but some of it's been, well, amazing, really fantastic. So, really, really knowledgeable group. So what I'm looking to do is not from a tactical point of view, which you guys covered really well. Tactically was great, but you touched on a psychological point of view. So what do we do? So sometimes we can be at our most vulnerable, guys, in these situations. So the situations we can be most vulnerable at times are, for example, after we've scored a goal. We see it a lot. You score a goal and your concentration goes. A corner, we looked at a couple of corners then. So your mind is attacking. All it takes is a poor delivery, plays in the box, team, 7-8 seconds later, goal, set piece. That's why a lot of goals are scored off set pieces. I don't know the percentage, but a lot are. You can look at that. Penalty, even when you're taking the penalty, the keeper saves it. Do I react quick enough? Or maybe lose focus. Someone shouts at you from the ground, or you get distracted. Or that's why sometimes you see when the game breaks down, people get distracted. Things can change really, really quickly. The momentum goes. Team shape, not in position. We really want to focus on this to be able to focus on the next phase, guys. So the idea behind this is practice. So what I do with the players to improve concentration is get them to focus when they're doing the drills on these questions. Where am I on the pitch? Where am I on the pitch? Where is the ball? Where is the opposition or opposite man or woman, depending on, male, female player, or what do I need to do now? So they're the areas in terms of concentration. So what you do after you scored a goal, you get back into shape, and you've got to get that out of your head, where you come out in the second half and you need to focus, be on the front foot straight away. You're taking a corner. I know logistically, you're not going to literally read from a script, but the more you repeat this, the more you practice it, and the more some of the drills that we've talked about and some of the exercises, which hasn't been easy, obviously not been because the lockdown situation, the physical exercises haven't not been able to do the coach what they'd normally do, but hopefully that moves in the right direction and can, but we improvise based on what we can do now. But these are the key elements. So these are the key elements that if I'm working with an individual or group of players, I get them to sort of know where they are on the pitch at all times. So what you guys said was correct when we sort of studied those corners. Certain players were not aware where they were on the pitch. The first point was a great point because one of them was just purely ball watching. Okay, you need to know where the ball is because the ball is a danger. You can't score without the ball, so you know where it is, or you know where you're on the pitch in proximity. You know where the opposition is. So if you've got an opposite opponent, you're marking in the box. You know where they are at all times. You know where the opposition is, and what do I need to do now to affect the game? So perhaps someone in the crowd says something, or you get distracted by something, and it always comes back to what do I need to do now? What do I need to do now? That's the key is in sport is what you do now. So they're the areas that we focus on. And whilst you're in training, and we can do this even when we cover visualization next week, we can sort of, get you to visualize key components in a game and be able to stay focused. If you do get distracted, you do score a goal, obviously celebrate the goal, of course. Corner, you have a corner like we watched before, you're aware, and the point was made really well from the positional point of view, but that's where communication comes into it. there was a great point made by one of you guys before about the player being outside their position and was ball watching. So what happen there, if you see that, okay, and you've seen that, then you need to communicate and shout that and be very vocal. That's where sort of communication is a key aspect. And this is sort of the concentration point of view. We're on the pitch. Where is the ball now? Where's the opposition? And when you think about these guys, have a moment to think about it. In the little videos that we saw, think about the key players involved in the in conceding the goal. Were they aware of where they were on the pitch? Were they where they should have been on the pitch? We can all agree that the key players involved in conceding weren't where they needed to be for various reasons. It could have been fitness, it could have been pace, it could have been awareness, but that's another story for another day. We address, were they aware where the ball was? Well, they might have been to a point, but they weren't in the position to affect that, because obviously he's played the long ball and he's sort of caught in nowhere. There's not a great deal that he can do in that situation. Was he aware where the opposition was? No, none of them were aware, because they wouldn't have caught themselves in that situation. They communicate effectively? Probably not, because the reality is that if you get caught in situations like that, what you need to do now is shout for someone else to cover you. You can't get back in that situation. That's the whole idea here is not for you to sort of have a checklist to walk around the field, but to have an emphasis for concentration. So to remind yourself in key moments in the game to reconcentrate, okay? You stop celebrating the goal at a certain point, or if you can see the goal, you refocus again. These are sort of the key things going forward. So we'll sort of share that. We'll stop here and we'll open for a question. Absolutely, that's another great point too. Yeah, breathing for sure. And one of the things about the breathing exercise, a really good point, guys, is I find it's useful when I'm working with my footballers to get them to sort of to exhale slightly more than they inhale, because it sort of calms the nervous system down as well. So like, you know, inhale 4, exhale 6, for example, or 5, 7, whatever works for them. It depends on what works for them. But, you know, taking some deep breaths to refocus again is a good cue. What we covered last week was a good cue to the anchoring, for example, like, you know, flick the wristband and refocus.